They know what the other is thinking, like a husband and a wife.
One guy just complimented the other.
They were as fine a combination as the game has ever seen.
Work your tail off. 4 quarters now, 4 quarters. Let's go. Number 3, Brett, number 3.
First round selection.
In football, they come in pairs. Cleats, gloves, and great passing combinations.
Oh, merciful heavens, what a throw and catch that is.
We're talking about quarterbacks and their go-to guy, their number one option, their favorite target.
There's always been that one individual that you just find a comfort level with.
While some quarterbacks have had the luxury of more than one great receiver at the same time,
So explosive, so many weapons.
we've limited our top 10 to couples only. The right combination begins with the obvious.
First of all, you got to have a really good quarterback and a really good receiver.
But talent alone doesn't always make for a happy couple.
And Donovan's just trying to get away from him and find some peace.
Great combinations come down to a matter of trust. I'm trusting you.
Way to trust me, Q.
You go my way, because I'm going to be open. I got you.
It's really like a marriage. We all have to think alike. We have to know what each other's are doing before it even happens.
Like matrimony, good passing combinations require time, commitment, and chemistry. And while matchmaking can be difficult, when the fit is right, you just know it.
The number 10 passing combination of all time, Zorn to Largent.
Number 10. I like Jim Zorn and Steve Largent. They were sharp. Yeah, they were sharp.
In 1976, the National Football League comes to the great Pacific Northwest.
That was an expansion team in 1976. Those early teams were really not very good teams. They were reject teams in a lot of ways.
Two of these cast-offs came together that summer in Seattle. Largent, who had been cut by Houston, joined Zorn, who had been released by Dallas, to form a potent passing combination for a fledgling franchise.
Zorn, play fake, back to pass, looks, he sets up, he throws toward the end zone, touchdown Seahawks! Zorn's dropping back to pass, looks, he throws down the right side for Largent, he's in the clear, he makes the grab, touchdown Seahawks!
Jim Zorn, along with Steve Largent, they were the face and the voice of the franchise in those early days when the area was just giddy to have an NFL franchise.
The soaring popularity of this clean-cut combination led to an utterly endless flow of endorsements.
They did do milk commercials. I hope it wasn't more than one. I think it may have been.
We sang on them, too. Well, that's why we only did a few.
Show your stuff and drink milk.
Show your stuff and drink milk. You'll get lots of da-da-da-da-da.
It has lots of calcium, protein and vitamin.
They were not exactly on the nightlife scene in Seattle, but every ice cream shop opening, they were there. That's the kind of guys they were.
Despite their limited vocal range, our number 10 passing combination was in perfect harmony on the field, where Zorn's mobility and Largent's intuition helped turn the Seahawks into contenders.
Their third year as a team in Seattle, we were 9-7, almost made the playoffs, and it was primarily due to Jimmy and Steve and the success that they had and as good a passing combination as they were.
Largent made the grab!
Jim was taught, drop back. If you got to play, make it. But if you don't, scramble around, try to make something happen.
Zorn throws the bomb deep down the right side. Largent wide open at the 10. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks!
Steve had the ability to know when a protection was breaking down. If the ball wasn't on him, he knew something was wrong, and he would just look.
We just had a sense of what one another was going to do before it even happened. And I think that had to do with just the fact that we spent so much time together on the field and off.
So close of friends were Zorn and Largent, they even carpooled to work together, but in a not-so-typical automobile.
Jim was very proud of his Volkswagen. He had it for a long, long time. And he took some perverse pride in being able to drive that Volkswagen to the game.
Get out of the way!
I really liked my Volkswagen. I thought it was really fast because, I like to feel like I'm racing around. Well, you can't really race around in a Volkswagen, but it sounds like you are.
Like Zorn's ride, this combination was practical yet dependable. Their success eventually vaulted Largent into the Hall of Fame. Mr. Seahawk retired with more catches, yards, and touchdowns than any receiver in NFL history. But Zorn to Largent will be remembered for more than just numbers.
Here's a couple guys that couldn't make it, got cut, and come to Seattle with an expansion team, and were the reason that the Seahawks had the immediate success that they did.
In the 1960s, it was no coincidence that the AFL's top dogs also had the league's top aerial attacks. Don Maynard helped deliver Joe Namath's guarantee in Super Bowl III. A year later, Len Dawson and Otis Taylor proved once again that talk of the NFL's supremacy was a bunch of hot air.
They've had enough. Kids are the world champions of professional football.
In the late 60s, Oakland's Warren Wells was on the receiving end of many a Darryl LaMonica deep ball.
They didn't call LaMonica the Mad Bomber because he was throwing 2-yard outs.
But just down the California coastline, a Charger duo was above them all.
The number 9 passing combination of all time, Hadel to Allworth.
John Hadel to Lance Allworth? Oh, man. Trouble. Trouble.
John Hadel passes to Lance Allworth. The combination fakes again.
John Hadel, he would just throw that ball up in the air down the field, and it just seemed like Lance Allworth was always underneath it.
Lance Allworth races downfield to make a fingertip catch of a John Hadel pass.
When we went into a game offensively, we knew we were going to score a lot of points.
Here's a payoff. Hadel goes to Allworth with a touchdown.
Before they became the AFL's most vaunted passing combo, Hadel and Allworth had a difficult time just looking the part when they arrived in San Diego as rookies in 1962.
The club called a meeting and introduced us to the new draft choices. And John was shorter than a quarterback. That is ideal. He was stocky. I didn't know he was a football player. I thought he must have been a new hire for the equipment department. And candidly, at that time, Lance is 21. But I'm not exaggerating. He looked 15.
Boyish looks and a graceful game soon earned Allworth a defining moniker.
It came from fullback on the Chargers when Lance showed up named Charlie Flowers from Mississippi. Charlie took a look at Lance and decided he should be called Bambi.
I don't know whether he named Lance Bambi because Lance has big brown eyes or because he had sensational leaping ability. But the name fits.
The elusive Allworth grabs a quick pass. Bambi cuts back, twists and scampers through a whole herd of baffled buffaloes.
To me, that's the first that I recall watching the American Football League, was watching San Diego Chargers playing and John Hadel throwing the ball to Bambi. Boy, were they good.
Our number 9 passing combination helped the Chargers win the 1963 AFL Championship and combined for 56 touchdowns, an AFL record and 6th all-time.
But Hadel is more than statistics. He's a rugged roustabout, a rambler, a gambler, hip-slicking brazen ball shark with the hands of a Vegas dealer and the guts of a Hollywood stuntman.
To me, the thing that separated him from everybody else was that he could throw a 50-yard pass as accurately as he could a 10-yard pass.
Hadel and Allworth pool their talents again for a tremendous 66-yard touchdown.
John didn't mind throwing the ball to me because he knew that if I didn't have it or couldn't get it, that nobody else was going to get it.
What's a Charger game without a touchdown pass from John Hadel to Allworth?
You could tell that they practiced a lot because there are certain throws that John would make that Lance would just be ready for him.
John Hadel strikes again, finding Allworth in the open.
There's no doubt there was chemistry because they had so much success. But as great a combination as Lance Allworth and John Hadel were, I think they were fortunate to be placed within the Sid Gilman system.
Known as the father of offensive football, Sid Gilman also knew passing combinations. Under his tutelage, Hadel became a 6-time All-Pro passer, and Allworth was the first AFL player inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Any combination of Lance and you name him would be an honored combination. But Hadel was more than that. They were just compatible. They were the perfect match.
The number 8 passing combination of all time. Ken the Snake Stabler to Fred Biletnikoff.
Number 8.
Slot left. Raiders third down now. And still 6 to go. Deep bomb being thrown to Biletnikoff up the left side. Leaping catch. End zone. Touchdown Raiders.
Ken Stabler and Fred Biletnikoff, they were so much fun to watch because neither one was as physically gifted as some of the players you see.
Stabler didn't throw very hard or for very long, but he could hit the island Newt at any distance.
Stabler looks at Biletnikoff, throws, touchdown Raiders!
It wasn't any secret that Fred didn't have any speed, but he had quick moves and great hands, so Snake could throw it anywhere around him and Fred would catch it.
Stabler back, looks left, throws right, Biletnikoff, a leaping catch, touchdown!
Despite their physical shortcomings, Stabler and Biletnikoff teamed to form one of football's deadliest passing combos. And in an era when the quarterback was truly a signal caller, no one was craftier than the Snake.
Stabler had an uncanny sense to read a situation and know when to go the big play.
Stabler pumps to the left, comes back to the right, throwing to Biletnikoff, super catch!
When I think about that combination, I think about Stabler being deep in the pocket and waiting and waiting and waiting and just throwing that deep sideline to Biletnikoff.
Freddie was somebody that Kenny absolutely believed in 100%.
Biletnikoff makes the catch!
You know, he just never dropped a pass.
Truth be told, our number 8 passing combination had some help. During his rookie season, Biletnikoff began using an adhesive substance called Stickum.
Did he use Stickum? Was that what that yellow stuff was?
He just started using it, and then he used it a little bit more, and pretty soon he had it all over his body.
If you needed a tough catch, Freddie could make it for you. He could catch it with his hands. He could catch it with his wrist. He could catch it with his forearm because that's where the Stickum ran, all the way down his arm. And the ball would just stick there. Go, got it.
And the worst thing was that he always had gum. Now, his fingers are all filled up with Stickum, so there's no way he's going to open up the gum. So we always had to have somebody over there to open up the gum.
Stickum, it was just one of his rituals. You know, I don't think he needed it because practice, I've never seen Freddie drop a ball in practice.
Whether he needed it or not, Stickum wasn't the only pre-game ritual this Hall of Famer was known for.
He would go into John and stick his finger down his throat and throw up. Ralph for 20 minutes in there.
That's when everybody like, well, we know, hey, it's time to go. Freddie's ready.
Stabler and Biletnikoff were never more ready than when they took football's grandest stage.
That combination of Super Bowl 11 really, really gave the Vikings trouble.
A brilliant work of art by the master of his position, Fred Biletnikoff. Yasha Heifetz never played a violin with more dexterity than Kenny Stabler is playing the Minnesota Viking defense.
Stabler's 4 completions to Biletnikoff set up 3 Oakland touchdowns, giving number 25 MVP honors.
That's typical Biletnikoff. He always stepped up in big games. When there was a lot of money on the table, Freddie always played well. It didn't surprise me at all that he did what he did, and it didn't surprise me that we beat them.
With a record 23 touchdowns in 2007, Tom Brady and Randy Moss could have made our list.
Touchdown! Randy Moss!
Good day to throw. Yeah, not always. Yeah.
But having spent just 1 season together, we held off.
And caught at the 2015 10-5 touchdown for Tom Brady. Touchdown pass number 50, an NFL record. For Randy Moss, touchdown reception number 23, an NFL record. We got him on the road. Let's see what we're doing.
Our next passing combo isn't quite as high profile, but they're just as impressive.
The number 7 passing combination of all time. Arnie Herbert to Don Hudson.
Herbie gets ready to hurl it, and Hudson streaks down the field to receive it. The famous Herbert to Hudson combination is one of football's greatest threats.
When football was played professionally for the first time in 1920, the forward pass was a necessary because they were having enough success running. That began to change in the early 30s, especially when Curly Lambeau in Green Bay started to say, you know what, I'm getting my running stuff, and I'm going to try to start throwing the ball.
But first, Lambeau needed a passer. He just happened to find one under his nose. In 1930, Arnold Herber, who was working as a handyman at the Packers clubhouse, convinced Curly into a tryout.
Ernie Herber, he had small hands, but he could throw that thing 80 yards like nothing.
After traveling 60 yards, enough power and accuracy behind that football to smash through a pane of glass. What a passer.
A strong and precise arm won Herber the job, and later 3 league passing titles. To complement Herber's range, Lambeau scouted Alabama burner Don Hutson during the 1935 Rose Bowl.
Curly Lambeau said, when I saw him cut in the Rose Bowl, I reached for my contract right there because you just don't see that.
After signing with the Packers, Hutson showed opponents why he had been nicknamed the Alabama Antelope.
Don Hutson ran skating along, very light-footed, didn't dig, didn't make any strong moves, but along with that, he had the ability to accelerate and change direction. He was just the most natural receiver that I have ever seen.
Herbie gets ready to hurl it, and Hutson streaks down the field to receive it. Here it comes. Look out, fellas.
Hutson and Herber were the absolute perfect combination for a quarterback and a receiver. You had a guy who could throw the ball 65 yards in the air, and you had a receiver who could get downfield and outrun everybody. I mean, the first time Herber completed the pass to Hutson was in a game against the Bears for an 83-yard touchdown.
Our number 7 passing combination propelled the Packers to NFL titles in 1936 and 39. But the lasting achievement of football's first great passing combination was how they changed the game.
Everybody says, wow, the passing game can really be a big factor.
Because of Hutson's ability to snare Herber's long passes at high speed, the opposing coach frequently assigns 2 men to guard him.
The Herbert-Hutson combination obviously was one that, had to impress coaches. When they're having that kind of success, it affected how they looked at the passing game and how they looked at defenses. Now, we have to stop this guy. We have to stop this combination. So there was a great impact on both sides of the ball.
The number 6 passing combination of all time, Aikman to Irvin.
Aikman to Irvin. They always got it done.
Going for the end zone. Irvin jumping, catching the 3, diving, touchdown! Oh, what a play! A supersonic laser blast from Aikman to Irvin for a touchdown.
Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin comprised 2/3 of the Cowboys' more widely known triplets, with running back Emmitt Smith leading the ground campaign. Numbers 8 and 88 were the aerial force behind Dallas's dynasty of the 1990s.
Troy Aikman was probably the most accurate passer in the history of the league.
Aikman to Irvin, Dallas touchdown.
He was incredible at putting the ball right where Michael could come across the middle. He's just an unbelievably accurate passer. And Irvin just so big and strong.
Nice job there, Troy. Nice throw. Good job in there, Michael.
The two of them had such a chemistry in that Troy knew exactly when to throw the ball. Michael knew exactly how to run the route. They were both very dependable.
One place Aikman and Irvin could always be found together was on the practice field.
The reason in my mind why they were so powerful was what we never saw. Their work in April, May, and June at Valley Ranch was amazing.
Countless hours of repetition between quarterback and receiver created a trust that could transcend the senses.
You could blindfold Troy Aikman and blindfold Michael Irvin and say run a 5 route, and I guarantee you they would complete 5 out of 10 of them, blindfold.
There was great confidence there that Troy could throw the ball in traffic, and he knew Michael wasn't going to let it get intercepted.
Michael's strength was his desire to catch the football.
Is it Michael Irvin or Michelangelo?
My job was not just to make a play, but to make sure you make the play for Troy. That's your man. Troy's my right-hand man. My job was to make the play for him.
Oh, what a play for the playmaker.
As teammates, Aikman and Irvin shared a competitive drive.
Hey, let's have a little urgency tonight.
Get so damn tough!
But as individuals, they were really quite an odd couple.
I mean, you couldn't have two guys that seemingly on their face to be completely polar opposites personality-wise. Irvin was flashy.
Showtime.
And obviously Aikman wasn't. And it just shows you don't have to have the same personality to be a great combination.
Aikman play fake, bootleg right, throws it on the dead run, touchdown.
On their way to Canton, these two Hall of Famers put up 49 touchdowns and won 3 Super Bowls. They were so successful that the league amended its offensive pass interference rules in an effort to curb the self-proclaimed playmakers' physicality.
Michael Irvin bumping and grinding at the ball. He's got it. It's the ball.
Michael wasn't going down with two hands and pushing people off. It was a nice little forearm here right at the top of the route. And when he deserved to get called, he got called.
While a career-ending injury to Irvin in 1999 brought an early end to our number 6 passing combination, the relationship between quarterback and receiver remains strong even today.
We had a true mutual respect for one another and admiration for one another. If you ask me now, since I retired, that's the guy I talk to most on the team, is Troy.
There was a tremendous bond between he and I, and we do still keep in touch. I consider him a very close friend. He's one of the few guys that I've ever had the relationship with that we tell each other we love each other when we see each other.
And the number 5 passing combination of all time, Kelly to Reed.
Kelly throws long, and it is caught for the touchdown by Andre Reed. What a throw by Kelly.
Kelly was a great quarterback, but I think everybody kind of knew that. Andre Reed was the surprise. He was a 4th-round draft pick out of Kutztown State. So when you look at the great passing combinations, very often they are blue chippers. Here you had a blue chip quarterback and a receiver from Kutztown. That's what makes this different.
Jim was recruited to Penn State to play linebacker. He was a linebacker at quarterback. So he had all the characteristics of a linebacker. He was gritty, he was tough, he could take a hit.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Now, Andre Reed, just a smart, savvy player that when you look at the numbers, you go, wow, Andre Reed did that?
Kelly throws long, touchdown, Andre Reed.
Together, our number 5 tandem accounted for 65 touchdowns. And until recently, the passing combination records for most completions and yards were held by Jim Kelly and the relentless Andre Reed.
The thing I think of with him is the phrasing run after catch.
Just caught there, and it's Reed. Reed at the 20-yard line, still on his feet. To the 15, down to the 10, to the 5, and for the touchdown.
Andre wasn't just a classic finesse guy as a receiver. Andre was willing to go over the middle, take the hit, get up, and get going.
Doing what he does so well after he catches the ball.
I just remember any ball near him never being a guy to really hear footsteps, just always being willing to make the play.
Reed is the Bills' all-time leading receiver and was a key member of Buffalo's breathtaking no-huddle offense of the 1990s.
If you can operate on the fly, there's no reason you shouldn't.
And Andre could change up routes and do all he needed to do on the fly, and Jim was looking for it.
In the no-huddle offense, Kelly to throw again. Kelly over the middle, man is there. Reed at the 10, Reed at the 5. He runs in for the touchdown.
Because they didn't huddle much, because they ran at a fast pace all the time, the receivers had to have tremendous stamina. That was really as important as your ability to get open and catch the ball.
Could you keep up with the pace of the game that they wanted to play at? They wanted to play basically Los Angeles Lakers Showtime football.
What a big play!
What makes the Kelly to Reed combination even more impressive was that they were able to thrive in conditions unsuitable for air travel.
They had to compete under the worst of circumstances for a quarterback and a receiver. Buffalo, snow, wind.
They played in a winter wonderland for half of the season, every season at home.
And the Bills have blown this one wide open.
From 1990 to 1993, Kelly and Reed led the Bills to an unprecedented 4 straight Super Bowl appearances.
Kelly backpedaling in the pocket. He throws long. A man is there. It's caught there by Reed. And Reed is down at the 12.
But the Kelly to Reed combination might have been ranked higher on our list had they won one of those games.
What a terrible disappointment for the Bills.
They never won a Super Bowl, but to go to 4 straight Super Bowls as they did, I think history will remember Kelly to Reed as one of the great all-time combinations in the sport. They've got the numbers. Some of the plays were spectacular.
Down there, Reed's got a touchdown.
If you've got a receiver and a quarterback that are as talented and put up the numbers that those guys did, they belong on any list you're talking about.
The number 4 passing combination of all time, Unitas to Berry.
The combination of Unitas to Raymond Berry was unstoppable. And it would be unstoppable tomorrow. That's how good they were then.
Unitas has the ball and he's looking for Berry. Unitas and Berry just have to be the top pass-catch combination in the league.
You couldn't find a better passing combination. It seemed that Berry was always open and Unitas always seemed to find him.
Touchdown-minded Johnny Unitas hits Raymond Berry on the 1 and Ray fights 3 to score.
Unitas and Berry invented the timing to passes. They invented the 2-minute offense together. And all those things are still being done today, but nobody's doing them as well as they did.
Brought together in 1956, this Hall of Fame passing combination began more as a reclamation project.
Unitas had gone originally to the Steelers, hadn't made the team, been cut, and then the Colts pick him up. Ray Berry comes to the Colts as a late-round draft pick. A lot of people haven't heard of him.
The first 2 years in pro football, we're struggling just to survive. We were just hoping we wouldn't get cut. We didn't have any aspirations other than that, and we were doing what came naturally, and that's working.
Our number 4 passing combination was so dedicated to perfection that Berry would game plan their practices.
He had a piece of tape on his wrist, and he would have written on there 50 post patterns, 75 out cuts. And if he didn't run that number, he would not leave the field. And Unitas would stay out with him until he ran that many.
They spent endless hours after practice just perfecting the routes that they were going to run in the game. So they worked harder than anybody else. That's what made them better than anybody else.
As a combination, Unitas to Berry set the NFL record with 63 touchdowns, a mark which stood for 23 seasons. But their greatest performance as a pair came in the greatest of games, the 1958 NFL Championship.
In the famed 2-minute situation, you couldn't find a better passing combination.
The Giants in the lead, 17-14. Back goes Unitas to throws. Throws. It's good to Berry. Berry in the middle of the Giants secondary. Shakes one man off, shakes another. Is finally caught up with at about the 50-yard line by Sam House.
Unitas to Berry, Unitas to Berry. I mean, I go to bed at night saying Unitas to Berry, Unitas to Berry. It drove me crazy.
Unitas sees Berry, waits him open, and he is back 35.
We were on a roll at that point, you know. There was a lot of Unitas to Berry going on.
Unitas back again, looking for Berry.
Combining for 12 completions and 178 yards, Unitas to Berry was the difference as the Colts captured their first world title in sudden death. So timeless was Unitas to Berry that even 2 decades later, neither age nor the Giants had caught up.
Years later, we played a pickup game in Central Park with some of the key figures in that game, and we still couldn't stop him or Raymond Berry. I guess he had our number.
Whether it was Dan Marino to Dan Marino, or Brett Favre to Brett Favre, quarterbacks combining with themselves have usually laid an egg. That is until Brad Johnson caught a lucky break.
Johnson, quick throw. No, I thought he threw. He still got it. Johnson at the 5. He's going to go in. Touchdown.
It's the first time a quarterback has ever thrown and caught his own pass for a touchdown.
And he was able to use that speed, outrun a couple defensive linemen into the end zone.
For fantasy football, it counted for 12 points.
While Johnson to Johnson formed the greatest single passing combo in history, he'd need help to knock our next pair off the list.
The number 3 passing combination of all time, Montana to Rice.
Montana to Rice. I mean, it just sounds right, you know? Montana to Rice.
To Rice, touchdown, 49ers!
You knew it was going to happen. The other teams knew it was going to happen. Fans in the seats knew it was going to happen, and nobody could stop it.
Touchdown, 49ers!
Lasting memories I have of the Montana to Rice passing combination and them beating our tails when I was the coach of the Saints every year.
He throws one. Rice is open. Touchdown, 49ers. So there's 2 seconds left. The 49ers will have a chance to throw one.
You just knew Joe Montana was going to hit Rice for the touchdown. It didn't matter how much time was on the clock.
Here's Montana throwing for the end zone. Rice late. He got it. Touchdown, 49ers.
That was the Beatles of quarterback to wide receiver. That was it, man. Then there was that combination, then there was everybody else.
What made Montana and Rice so much fun to watch was Montana had been to the mountaintop with other receivers.
Toward the end zone, throwing under pressure, throws his pass, caught by Clark. Clark got a touchdown.
Now here comes Jerry, and it's almost like getting a new toy for Christmas.
A gifted receiver out of tiny Mississippi Valley State, Rice's open field speed and sure hands gave his quarterback a different sort of deep threat.
He has 2 of the greatest abilities I think there is his ability to get by a defender and also his ability after the catch to make people miss and turn a small play into a big gain.
Pass, though, is complete to Jerry Rice. He's ahead of everybody. Goodbye.
Once you broke inside, Joe would put the ball there, and then it's up to you just to become a football player. And it's just like Sandlot football.
From 1985 to 1990, Montana and Rice turned pro football into child's play.
Montana back to throw into the end zone. It's a touchdown, Jerry Rice.
Our number 3 passing combination scored 55 touchdowns together, 1/11th of those coming in a single game.
It was a game in Atlanta they played. Jerry Rice beat Charles Dimry 5 times for touchdowns that day.
Montana looks over the field, goes for the end zone all alone. Jerry Rice, touchdown number 4.
And Montana threw all 5 of those passes.
Montana to the end zone. It's a touchdown number 5.
The Montana to Rice tandem dealt the 49ers into the postseason each year they were together. And when the stakes were raised, this pair anteed up.
When they got into playoff football, they got into the Super Bowl. You know what? It's over. You're not touching these guys.
Montana back to throw. Throws over the middle. A fine catch by Rice. Rice into the 20. He's down to the 19. Another brilliant pass by Jerry Rice. And the 49ers have won the Super Bowl.
Think about the Super Bowl against the Broncos. The Niners came out of the gate in that first quarter, and it was the Montana to Rice show.
Montana comes back across the middle. Complete to Rice. Into the end zone. Touchdown 49ers. Pump fake by Montana. Launches it for the end zone. Jerry Rice. Oh, what a catch by Rice. Touchdown 49ers.
They were as fine a combination as the game has ever seen.
It wouldn't be right to have a passing combo show without mentioning Dan Marino and his 2 favorite targets. For a decade, number 13 was lucky to have a pair of super receivers in Mark Duper and Mark Clayton. So inseparable were the Marks brothers that you couldn't think of one receiver without the other. In the end, that prevented either Marino combination from cracking our list. From a quarterback who had 2 great receivers, we turned to a receiver who had 2 great quarterbacks.
The number 2 passing combination of all time, Young to Rice.
Jerry Rice became a great receiver with Joe Montana as his quarterback.
Rice has it, 45, 40, 30.
And Steve Young benefited greatly from that relationship.
I looked at it as a tremendous opportunity. You're getting trained to be great. Now go see how good you can get.
After serving as Montana's understudy for 4 seasons, Young finally got his chance at greatness in 1991.
Joe passed the baton to Steve and continued that great production with Jerry Rice.
Quick slant in, Jerry Rice, end zone, touchdown 49ers. Throws Rice open, touchdown.
The Steve Young, Jerry Rice connection, in terms of numbers, exceeded what Jerry did with Joe.
They threw far more touchdowns than Montana to Rice, so wrap your brain around that for starters.
In all, Young threw 85 touchdowns to Rice, 30 more than his predecessor.
Those guys played at the very prime of their careers and in an offense that had truly matured.
Before Young found success as part of our number 2 passing combination, he had to change positions, at least in his mind.
Steve, he was known as a runner, and he wanted to prove to everybody that I can stand back there in the pocket and I can be a precise passer.
He learned to pass first and then think to run because, after all, I have Jerry Rice out there. I don't want to take the ball out of his hands.
For Rice, adjusting to a southpaw also took some extra work.
You know, Steve had a different spin on the ball because he was a lefty.
Once the transition was made, Jerry made sure to find a left-handed member of the training staff. And while everybody else took a breather, he would catch lefty pass after lefty pass because he felt that would get him ready for Steve. More than just catching the ball, he wanted to catch a left-handed ball.
During their 13 seasons together, Young and Rice built a rapport that surpassed the traditional quarterback-receiver relationship.
Steve and Jerry developed such a chemistry and a timing about themselves that even when people were doubling Jerry Rice, they would find a way to connect.
Back the other way, and Rice made an incredible catch.
I saw your eyes. You were right behind me. What you were trying to tell me was, it looks like I'm covered, but I'm not.
The relationship was almost magical in some regards.
It's a little chilly, isn't it, Steve?
Oh, sorry. What am I thinking? How's that? Yeah, thank you. Better? Yeah.
The only thing more important than your favorite receiver is your favorite card.
For Young and Rice, their status as an elite passing combination wasn't fully validated until 1994.
If you want to just look for like sheer majesty, look at that first touchdown of Super Bowl 29. Jerry splits those safeties. Steve knows it all the way. He throws a beautiful lofting spiral right in Jerry's paws.
44 yards, touchdown pass to Rice. Back to throw is Young, drills it across the middle, catch by Rice, beat the defender on the play, touchdown 49ers.
Being able to win Super Bowl 29 and win it in the fashion that they did. I mean, Young throwing 6 touchdown passes, Jerry catching 3 touchdown passes. I mean, that cemented their place in football history.
And the number 1 passing combination of all time, Manning to Harrison.
If you wanted to know where it was going with Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, you really don't have to look any further than their very first preseason game.
Peyton and Small to the left side, Harrison to the right. Falk is the lone back, showing blitz of Seattle. Peyton Manning under center on third.
And it was Peyton. Here he is, a rookie quarterback, and he throws a little slant pass to Marvin, and Marvin busts it.
Drops to throw the quick pass over the middle. Caught by Harrison. He's gone. Peyton Manning's first throw, a 48-yard touchdown. Who wrote that script?
And I know what Peyton was thinking. This is pretty easy. You know, I throw my first pass, and it's a touchdown.
Once you get Marvin the ball, good things are going to happen.
Together since 1998, good things have been happening for Manning and Harrison ever since.
He got it! What a circus catch!
Good catch, man. Great feet.
He's got Marvin wide open. He throws it to him. He's got it to 40, 30, 20, cuts inside, 10, 5, touchdown, 80 yards.
For Manning and Harrison, talent, hard work, and longevity have created a unique oneness between the two.
Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison are the same person. I mean, I played with both of them in the Pro Bowl, and they could finish each other's sentences.
So how much too far? Yeah, just a little bit.
They know what the other is thinking like a husband and a wife, and they have worked together so much and so closely. They could talk with their eyes. And there aren't many quarterbacks and wide receiver combinations that are able to do that.
Marvin and I, on numerous times, have usually just kind of a head nod, and every time we seem to do it, he knows exactly kind of what I'm looking for.
Manning looks, fires to the end zone for Harrison. He's got it, touchdown!
It's one of those things that me and another quarterback or Peyton, another receiver, probably couldn't do. But being as though we've practiced so much, we know each other's every move.
For our number 1 passing combination, practice led to perfection and an all-out assault on the record book.
Manning throws it upfield. Marvin's got it to 45. That is 664 catches. Manning to Harrison. They are the best all time. They now have more yards than any other passing combination in NFL history. Peyton looks for the quick throw, lobs it in the corner to Marvin. Touchdown! That's the record breaker. The 86th touchdown pass
record held by Steve Young and Jerry Rice.
With every major passing combination record secured, Manning to Harrison was still incomplete without a championship.
35, down to the 40, down to the 35 of the Bears. One, the Colts are world champions.
I'm glad they won a Super Bowl championship. I think it just enhances what these guys have done. To see guys like Harrison and Peyton Manning win a championship, I think there were a lot of people that felt good for them because they earned it.
Already tops on our list and with no end in sight, how will football's most prolific passing combination be remembered?
People are going to look back on that pairing of Manning and Harrison as being really unique, maybe one of the last of that type.
I don't think you're going to see it ever again, to see guys play that long together, to be able to get that kind of chemistry, because free agency has changed the game so much.
Manning to Harrison, that combination we will talk about for decades upon decades upon decades.
They both stayed healthy. They both got years ahead of them. There's no reason why these guys, when the careers are over, that they won't go down as the best passing combination of all time. No reason whatsoever.
While it's still unknown how high Manning and Harrison will raise the bar for those passing combinations that follow, one thing is for sure. They, like the rest of the players on our list, could never have done it alone.